I guess you call it. Well, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
We're going to go over the lesson on problem solving this evening. And we're going to talk about 5 whys. WHYS. That is something I never heard of before, but I'm sure, other people have. Can you see my screen share, Dennis?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay.
Keith's coming in just now. Carrie, if you want to wait a
Okay.
second.
Well, we'll wait for him then. Good evening, Keith.
Good evening.
How are you this evening?
Pretty good. How about everybody else?
Good.
So far, so good.
Hi, Keith.
Well, no matter how hard you've planned, it's highly unlikely you will serve your term as zone chair without running into some problems.
Nah.
But we want to help you get through these problems by having this problem-solving session. Now, the average zone has 153 members in 14C zones. So we'll use this tool. We'll go through it and give you a little help on getting through problem solving with your clubs that are in your zone. Of course, that is the Lions Club. Well, what do we want to call that? Mission statement. And that's why we're here, so we can empower volunteers to serve their communities, meet humanitarian needs, encourage peace, and promote international understanding through Lions Clubs. So we'll delve into problem solving here, and we have 3 objectives: to define the 5 whys method, apply it, and explore using it to help in your zone. Now, this was developed by a company you would think that would develop something like this, Toyota. What that has to do with car manufacturer, I'm not sure, but supposedly they came up with this 5 whys method. So we'll define it, apply it, and explore it. Now, your problems can be either people-oriented or process-oriented. In other words, somebody in a club is initiating some problems, or a club itself, or some sort of procedure. So with this workshop, we're going to try to help you get through that and give you the easiest way to get through solving the problem, because there's different ways of solving these. Did anybody take the conflict resolution course on the Lions Learning Center?
Yes, I did.
I did.
One did. All right, that's great. Okay, well, we're just going to run through it in a few seconds. As soon as I get out of this screen and pop onto another screen. So there's 5 different approaches to conflict management. There's avoidance, where you just turn your back and walk away, whatever the problem is. Don't pay any attention to it. Don't help anybody with it. You're just going to hope that it goes away on its own. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it just escalates. Your next approach is dominate. You just walk in there and push your way through. Your opinion is the only one that matters. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Accommodate. Each of you, yourself and who you're working with to solve the problem, you each have your own idea and you work together. You accommodate each other to come up with a plan. Compromise. There again, you're working together. Take a little bit of each one to find a common ground on the resolution. And then the final one is collaborate. Just working together, whether with it 2 lions or a group, you come up with a solution that is agreeable to everyone. I went through that a whole lot quicker than what you did on Lions Learning Center.
Question. Isn't compromise and collaboration kind of go hand in hand?
Probably, Keith. But I think collaborate is more working together. You may not even necessarily compromise, but you're just working together to solve the problem. All right. Getting back to my full screen here. Bear with me a second. Bingo. All right, it's the last time we do that tonight. So now we're going to define the 5 whys method. You're going to use it to determine the root cause of a problem. You can use it for minor or moderately complex terms. You can use it as an individual or in teams and use it to solve the problem, for problem resolution. Does anybody have any examples of somewhere where you would use a 5 whys method? You don't have to mention names or clubs or anything like that, but does anybody have any experience in using this method?
We just had an example in our meeting the other night with our annual chicken barbecue. We have basically one guy who tries to run the whole operation. And at our board meeting, we were trying to come up with solutions. Unfortunately, he wasn't there at the time. But, you know, we didn't totally dominate in a sense. I mean, we do plan to talk with him and work and get him hopefully on our side and work with different solutions to see if we can make our annual chicken barbecue run a lot smoother. So we're kind of we're in the process right now of probably going through a conflict, slight conflict resolution situation.
You think you'll use the 5 whys method, or at least consider it?
Oh, yeah, after going through the process today, yeah, probably.
So the root cause, that is defined as the earliest cause for a given outcome. And as we've said before, you can use it individually or in groups. So you're trying to get down to the nitty-gritty. What is really causing this problem? And if you use the 5 whys method, you can peel away at the different layers to get down to the cause. That's why it's called 5 whys. Now, it is not a requirement to ask 5 questions. And you don't just say why, but why you do this, why does this happen? And we're going to go through a couple of classic examples of it. But you don't have to ask 5 questions. If you can solve the problem with 3, that's great. If it takes 7, that's great. But it looks like if you don't keep moving forward with it and stop too soon, you may not have decided what the root cause really is. And that's what you're trying to do, is to get to the root cause. Now let's step into how to use the 5 whys method. So there's 4 steps. You're going to define the problem, ask the first why, then ask why 4 more times. That should give you the root cause. And then you should have a curative action, or what you're going to do to solve this problem. You're going to begin by defining the problem, ask your first why, ask 4 more questions until you get to the root cause of the problem, and then you can begin solving it. So let's go through the next couple slides, and we'll see how this 5 whys method can help you solve these problems. Now, you have a new friend, but your new friend is late for the meeting. You're curious about why he is late, so you're going to ask him these 5 whys using this method. So we're going to ask the first question, which is, why were you late? What do you think the next question should be? Anybody want to take a guess?
Well, you'd have to, wouldn't you, Carrie, wouldn't you have to know what his answer to the first question was? Like if he said to the, I was late because my alarm didn't go off or something like that.
There you go. Your alarm didn't go off. What's the next question?
Why didn't it go off?
That's right. That's right. So here's your 5 questions, what you want to ask your friend. Why were you late? Why didn't your alarm clock ring? What do you think the answer to that one is? Why didn't your alarm clock ring?
Evidently, he didn't have power.
Didn't have power. You got it.
Must have lived around New Bridgeville.
Well, you didn't have power because the battery didn't work. Why didn't you change the battery? Because you didn't have replacement batteries. Well, why don't you have replacement batteries? Because you forgot to buy them. So what's the root cause here?
You forgot to buy the batteries.
Forgot to buy new batteries. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
I was going to say something else that's a lot less politically correct.
Well, you can probably keep that to yourself tonight. But we have some curative actions here. So to the response of why the alarm clock didn't ring, what do you think? What do you think you could have done about that?
Could have gone to the store to buy batteries.
What's that?
Could have gone to the store to buy batteries.
You can do that.
Maybe he didn't set it.
That's right. That could be.
Well, you know, you could have had somebody at home wake him up. That's a possibility.
Yeah, that's right.
You could have a backup alarm clock. You could replace the battery, you know, more regularly before it goes bad. And you could keep a supply of replacement batteries at home. So we'll look at the questioning advice. Now, when you ask these questions, you want to do it in a non-confrontational way. You want to be very friendly about it. I can actually picture people having problems with this. You know,
Right.
but people can be uncomfortable if you start pressuring with something like this. And of course, there's different personalities. Some people will be very accepting of it, and other ones will say, "Well, I'll give you 5 whys," and they're right on the end of my right arm. You know. Just depends on the person. So we've defined the whys. Now we're going to apply the 5 whys. And what we're going to do is we have a case study here. Does everybody have a copy of the case study? In whatever manual you may have, do you have a copy of the case study?
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, if you have the participant's manual, it's on 3. If it's the instructor's manual, it's 13.
Got it.
What we'll do is we're gonna study this problem. There is a club that is very good in attracting new members, but so far this year they've lost 4, so that of course is a problem. So let's read through the case study. And who wants to read Club President Elena's statement? Bonnie, you want to do that?
Now, I don't have it up.
Okay. Todd, can you read that?
It says, I am concerned about new members who have left. I have not yet had the chance to look into why they left, but I heard that these members felt that their new member orientation wasn't very good.
Okay. Keith, can you do Lion Marion?
Yeah, I haven't found that.
Okay, well, I'll read it for you. It's unfortunate that we lost these new members. They seemed enthusiastic at first, but were frustrated by the fact that we didn't do a formal orientation for them. Our lion who used to run the orientation sessions moved away. We haven't had anyone offer to fill this role yet. And now we refer our new members to the member orientation information on our website. So you're losing new members because you haven't had proper orientation. Todd, I'll let you read Lion Radhar's also there for me, please.
I did get to know the new members before they left. It was great to connect to other Lions who were new too. They were frustrated because there was no formal orientation process. It doesn't feel very welcoming to be told to go to the website and read the orientation materials. While we join to serve others, many of us hope to make connections with experienced volunteers while we serve.
Okay, can you go to page 5 in the participants manual? We're gonna figure out the 5 whys that we should be asking. So you've heard the case study, you have the information. And I'm gonna give you the answer to the first, or the question to the first, well, the answer to the first question. Why did the 4 new members leave? Poor member orientation. And does somebody have the next why?
The person who was doing the training moved away.
Right? So the trainer left the club. And how about another one?
Well, that
Why
might,
didn't you appoint a new orientation person?
right? So you already have 3 whys right there. How about another one?
Nobody stepped up.
Nobody stepped up. Is
Yeah.
that couldn't happen in a Lions Club, do it?
Never
But
heard
I
of it.
think the final one would probably be that the members feel more connected if they're trained by somebody experienced from the club.
As opposed to going to a website.
Right. Orientation is, I always felt it was more club focused anyhow. So there's your 5 why questions. There's your 5 curative answers to that situation where the club members are leaving, the new members don't stay around. But you know, different people that are asking these questions could come out with different root causes, and they could also have different curative actions. So there might be more than one problem. There may be multiple problems involved.
So PDG Carey, just a question.
Yep.
In the method that they're proposing here, are they suggesting that you look at each response or each why or response to each why and at least think about a curative action for each step of the way?
We're coming to curative right now. Right there.
Oh,
So
okay.
you want to ensure, the first why, you want to ensure consistent member orientation. Appoint, and these are not in the same order, but it's the same curative actions of what we just discussed. So you want to ensure you have a member to do the orientation. You want to appoint a member because no one stepped up. You want to have a mentor to train the new members, have an experienced club member to do the job, and create an inclusive environment for the new members. Some of the actions may be different from what may be shown here. You can do different things, but these are just some examples that they recommend that you could do as far as curative actions. So let's look at limitations that the 5 whys method may have. Some things that may not work is it focuses on symptoms rather than causes. It's a great way to quickly determine the root causes and plan curative actions, but it's not necessarily the perfect solution. So it does have limitations. And different people will come up with different answers. They'll have different why questions, different cumulative or curative actions. So there's no really correct or wrong answer to this. But sometimes there may be too much focus on a single root cause, when there could be many. But it's a good starting point. It's easily determined to use this, and some complex problems can benefit from this method by giving you enough information that it will influence and uncover the root cause of your problem. I'll tell you, sometimes you can't do it by yourself. You need to have a group. And to do that as a group, you want to invite those that were affected by the issue. And these usually fall into place when it's a much more complex issue than you feel comfortable handling. It may be something that you would have to get your district governor or your GMT team involved in. You're going to need to select a leader for this group. Ask your why questions 5 times. Align the responsibility for your curative actions and communicate the results to your group. And each member needs to know how to use this 5 whys method. And you need to have a goal when you ask these questions. What is your goal to come to a conclusion, to a curative action? Focus on the process, not people. Investigate without making assumptions. Use groups to problem solve complex problems. Practice the 5 whys techniques to gain proficiency. And confirm root causes to analyze and solve the problems. Has anybody ever had a really complex issue as a zone chair that really left you stumped, that you thought you needed help with?
Yeah.
Come on, nobody's got that great of a zone that they haven't had a problem.
I need help all the time, but it's usually not because of a problem.
I mean, I think people could probably take example from their own clubs they were in of complex problems that they faced at times.
You think it's safe
I
to make
would
an,
give one.
Dan, do you think it's safe to make an assumption without asking your questions?
No.
No, that's correct. Don't make an assumption, because you'll end up perhaps blaming others for the problem. Always confirm your information when you gather your 5 whys responses. Use a group, as we just said, use a group if you have a complex issue. And you can start to practice this using smaller problems that you may have till you get comfortable with it. So confirming your root causes helps you to analyze and solve the problems. If you have a root cause that isn't doing these things, you may need to go back and ask 5 more questions. So in the next part, we've done the definition, we've done the application. Now we're going to explore using the 5 whys method in your zone. You don't need the participant's manual for this. But what we'd like you to do is to sit down and write out, give you about 10 minutes, and write out a problem that you have or had in your zone. And then we want you to write what you can independently confirm about the problem, who you can contact to ask your 5 questions, and a couple of the 5 whys questions that would be helpful to ask to get more information about this problem. So go ahead and write what problem you may have had in your zone. I know some of you have not been in very long, and some of you aren't even zone chairs, but you've been around, know what's been going on.
Bless you.
Thanks.
How you making out, Patty?
Oh, I'm going by problem. I'm doing all right. This was an email that went back and forth, so I'll just use that one.
Okay.
I didn't think the New Freedom Lions had problems.
Oh, this was, I didn't think we did either. I'm
Never
supposed to know.
occurred, did it, Gary?
Aren't they the premier? Aren't they the premier club in all of Lions
Right,
International?
right, absolutely.
This was a minor thing. They thought it was major.
Oh, I know what you're talking about now.
Too many egos, I think.
I don't think I was involved in that one.
Can you send me the participants PDF? Because I'm lost in the instructors.
Oh,
Let me read them off to you, Galen. That's probably the easiest way. You're going to state the problem that you've had. Tell me when you're ready for the next one.
Okay.
What can you independently confirm about the problem? What do you know?
Okay.
Who can you contact to ask your 5 questions?
Okay.
And list, like 2 of the questions that you would ask to get more information about the problems. Two why questions you would ask.
Okay.
That's it.
I'd still like to have the file to print out for my binder.
We'll get her to you.
Okay. Can be later.
Yeah, Galen, I resent the participant manual to you just a few minutes ago. I know when we're in this mode, you can't really get back to your screen to see your emails. But
No, it'll come to my phone, which I send to my tablet, and I'm not on either of those. So
Obviously, Galen, this is problem number 1.
why do you use your tablet instead of your phone? Why don't you have an
because-
integrated system?
because I keep that email address just for my club.
They're actually asking you to do this twice, but I think we're going to do it once tonight. That's good enough. Bonnie, how are you making out?
I'm thinking.
You're making? Okay.
No, I said I'm thinking.
Oh, you're thinking?
Don't you see the smoke?
No, not really. Give you a few more minutes here.
I think the big thing is that you just have to focus on a problem. That it has occurred at some point somewhere.
And Dan, of course, everybody's different. What is a problem to one person may not be a problem to you whatsoever.
Mhm. Well, the one that I mean, I had multiple occur to me. Maybe I don't want to talk about it right now. Wait a few minutes.
Todd, Keith, are you guys finished?
Yep.
Yep.
How about you, Dan?
I'm okay.
I'm not going to hurry you.
No, I'm good.
Bonnie, you done thinking?
I think.
I don't
Sort
see
of.
smoke anymore, so I figured you'd come to a conclusion.
Bonnie, I can back you up if necessary because I have down one I know that you've been frustrated with.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Dan, do you want to go ahead and do your problem statement and your confirmation and
Yeah.
your who to call and what a couple of your why questions would be?
Yeah, I'll do one. And what I did was to put my head back when I was a zone chair. And there was a club in the zone at the time that was losing members. It's had a glorious history, this club. The second question to this on the worksheet is, what can you do to independently confirm the problem? Well, with this particular problem, don't you call that report you get monthly the health assessment report or something like that? You can go to that report and check it monthly and see what's happening. Is the club losing members? I mean, what were their members last 6 months ago, and what are their membership now, and so on. So I can independently confirm what the problem is. And then the next question is, who do you contact? Well, in that club, there is at least one past PDG that I could contact. I could have contacted the president. I don't say I did this. I'm just playing it out to you now. I probably, after I'm doing these 5 whys, would have done a better job with it. So, and there probably another person or two in the club I could have contacted. And then what are some 5 why questions? Well, first one I think of is, if let's say I'm talking to the PDG in that club. Why, sir, are you losing members? Have you contacted the members to see why they left? I didn't get any further than that, Kerry. That's when you caught me. So
It's
that's
okay.
how far I got in the process.
That's all right. We're rather informal here tonight, Dan. That's perfectly all right.
That's how far I got.
Okay. Todd, how about you?
Well, being involved, not always as his own chairman, but sometimes going to his own meetings, I looked at the problem as a lack of participation in zone activities. So independently confirm, I could check from club presidents or secretaries how many actual participants they had in a particular activity. And I think maybe the zone chairman himself would be the one I contact to ask my 5 why questions, and maybe particular clubs, why aren't all clubs participating in the activity? Maybe why aren't more of the members from the individual clubs participating? And depending on the answer, why isn't there maybe better communication within the club about the activity?
Do you think if presidents and secretaries from previous terms did not attend your Zoom meetings, that is just a continuation of the current clubs? In other words, if they haven't done it in the past, they're probably not going to come now, even though there are different people that are involved.
Well, no, I don't necessarily mean that the presidents and secretaries aren't participating like at our zone meeting. I'm talking about a particular activity like we do a zone service project.
Okay.
Or even a zone social, because I know in some recent years when some have been tried, participation from clubs and their members have seemed to be really down. Just struggle to get different clubs and their members to come out and participate with the total zone.
Right.
No, actually right now, I think club secretaries and presidents, zone-wise, meeting-wise, participation is good.
All right. Great.
But I wonder sometimes, does all the information get back to the clubs, and what happens when it gets passed on to their membership?
Okay. Anything else for you then? Keith, how about you?
Okay, I wrote out 2. One's just a really serious pet peeve of mine, and that's with communications with the clubs and the zone. But and that's a tough. There's only one why. Why don't you respond? And you don't get a response to that. So the other one I wrote down really is problem with. Seems to be a serious problem with the club's reporting activities in MyLion. And it's pretty obvious that if you go to MyLion or you go to the Insights page, you can see exactly what they are and aren't reporting. I know one club for a fact doesn't show any reporting yet this year, yet I know for a fact that they have done things. So that's my own personal knowledge there. The person to contact, I guess, would be if they have a club administrator. That probably be the person to contact first. If they don't, then of course it would be the secretary to find out what was going on. And the very top why question would be, why aren't you reporting your activities? Then depending on the answer you get from that, why are you fearful of reporting, or why are you I can't think of the word I'm looking for right now, but that really basically comes down to that the answer you get for that first question is, why aren't you reporting?
But my question, Keith, all clubs don't have administrators, do they?
No, I don't. No. Some do, some don't.
Okay, that's what I thought.
The club administrator, and correct me if I'm wrong, PDG Carey, but club administrator is really there to support the secretary.
Right.
Really to take that some of that workload away from the secretary as far as the reporting duties.
It's basically to assist the secretary with submitting information to MyLCI and MyLion. That's what it's for, to give more people access to the websites. So hopefully there's a better chance, a better opportunity of having information sent in. But yeah, you can, it's always been a problem. It's a common problem. I don't think it's as bad as maybe it used to be, but it's something we really need to improve upon. Oh, let's see here. Bonnie, how about you?
Well, I had a couple. I don't know if this is the one Dennis was, or that, yeah, Dennis was thinking of. Are you thinking of the member that I had that quit coming because he didn't feel welcome?
No, that's not. Mine was more of a
Now,
zone.
Bonnie, you have to do two of them because we have to hear the whole story on both of them.
I have a couple.
Do a couple.
Well, one problem I had was not getting all my clubs to the zone meeting.
That's the one I had.
Okay, well, I did ask a question and I got a weak response from one club. They didn't get home from work in time. And it took like pulling teeth to even get a response from the club, period. And I never did hear from the secretary. So I decided that I would move the site of where we meet. And for my very first one, I was so proud I had everybody there. And I think that was a big factor. I felt that I needed someplace more central. That we could, large enough that we could do right now with the social distancing too.
Did that help?
Yes. Except the last time they didn't really do what I wanted them to at where we had it. But this time I've already checked into it.
Okay, good.
And now your second one.
Oh, that was the one. We had a new member and he came and he didn't come back. So the person that got him called him and asked why he wasn't coming. And he said, well, he didn't feel welcome. And he proceeded to ask why, which he said nobody seemed to talk to him. And he hasn't come back since. And that's what we're looking at now, what we can do to get him back.
So what why questions would you ask him, Bonnie?
Well, we said, why did you not come back? Why weren't you at the last meeting? And his answer was, he didn't feel welcome. And we said, why? He said, because nobody really, a couple of the families said hello to him and the other ones didn't. But I think you have to consider at some of your club functions, some of your people are just like that. They aren't outgoing to welcome everybody.
Have their own little cliques.
Well,
Don't go outside of the clique.
there's just some that just aren't real friendly, no matter what you do.
Okay. All right. But that's not you, of course. It's definitely not.
No, I
you.
go talk to everybody. My husband said I don't
Everybody,
need to quit.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's interesting though, because using the why method here, you could drill down into that. Yeah, well, why are your members? You know, this would be a discussion not with the new member, but with other people. Yeah, so maybe these whys go from one person to another, or ask it to different constituencies as you find out more information. So now maybe you go back to your board and start to talk about, well, why are our members reluctant to sit with a new member or engage with a new member? And
Right.
and depending on what the response there is, maybe is, well, why don't we provide some training to our members in how they should act, or some instruction, or why don't we assign people to sit with the new members or something like that, or to greet the new member, a different person to greet them each week, or why don't we set up a protocol where everybody greets everybody, like Keith mentioned was that at our last training, Keith, that you mentioned that?
Yeah, I think it
Right.
was.
Yeah, we tried that. I don't think he really gave the club a chance. I think it was the time of year and he was busy by just acquiring new property. And I think maybe that was a factor. And I think his sponsor will try again.
You think he was just using that as an excuse, Bonnie?
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe he didn't want to be there in the first place, but felt obligated because a certain person asked him and he didn't want to say no.
Yeah.
That's a why.
I don't know. I'm torn between different reasons, you know.
Well, Bonnie, you can sit back and read that book again and put those 5 whys to use.
I know.
Call it. You sound like you're already on your way. You've asked him a couple of why questions. You know, I think it's great. I think you did a good job without any training on it. Lion Patty, how about you?
Okay. Mine is very simple. Because, you know, we have no problems, right, Carrie?
You haven't been in the club long enough.
No, I haven't. Mine every year goes back to who is picking up the check for donation night. We have one group that never shows up, never responds. So it went on to my other whys, why is the treasurer not picking up the check even though emails are sent? Why is the scout rep picking up the check and not the treasurer? Why are you stating the youth center does no fundraising? And why was the trustee board not kept informed? So where I answers, I guess, solutions to those were numerous emails were not responded to. The Scout liaison relayed information several occasions to the youth center director. One particular Lion heard that from the youth center, the only fundraiser the group did was getting our check. And the liaison did not inform the trustee board. So all of that went back and forth, and our final answer or action was the trustee informed us the details resolving the issue. We figured it was solved. Well, no one came and picked up the donation. So we went through all of that, and it ended up being no one showing up anyway.
To give them money. Isn't
Yes.
that something? To give them a check. That's
But this happens every year. They either get no responses, and I go back. And
yeah,
back.
yeah,
That's why there's probably not a whole lot.
it's
you
been
can do.
happening the 23 years I've been in the club. But what really, I mean, not showing up and getting the check is one thing, but showing up and getting the check and then never cashing the check,
Yeah.
that's something I just cannot understand. But I have a lot of why questions on that.
Maybe
Lots
they
of
lost
why.
it.
But why?
Yeah, yeah. If you're not going to cash it, we're probably not going to give it to you.
So
Dennis,
that's
you
my
want to
problem.
do one? Have you done it? Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Go
Well,
ahead.
like I said with Bonnie, mine was, why are we having inconsistent inconsistent attendance or representation by clubs at the zone meetings? And I think Bonnie did some of the steps that I was talking about, or you can obviously do your own tracking there of which clubs do and don't attend over a period of time, and which officers from the clubs haven't attended regularly. And your contact people, I think, typically are your secretaries that that's kind of like your liaison between the club and the zone.
Right.
And so you might be asking, why haven't we been seeing you at our zone meetings, or your president at our zone meetings, depending on who it is? And why don't you or your president want to attend? If the answer is, yeah, we don't feel like coming to it or whatever, or maybe they tell you it's not at a good time, and you could ask, why is this, why is the time of the meeting a problem, or why is the location of the meeting a problem, or maybe there's some kind of conflict between others who attend, so why don't you get along with the secretary of XYZ club, something like that? Or, why don't you like your zone chairperson?
What about if the officers that the president and secretary are the same people for 2 and 3 years? Then what do you do?
Yeah. Yep.
Didn't one of the clubs, the president and secretary never went to a zone meeting for years and years because they didn't know they were supposed to go?
Really?
I did. Yeah, I
Wow.
won't mention the club, but I did hear that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Galen, I left you for last, buddy. So you had more time. Hit me with it.
Well, before I start, I want to, so I don't miss giving this, I want to give some feedback from last week's session where we worked with the goal setting template. And on Saturday night, I printed that out and filled it out and used it to guide a board meeting issue on Monday night, and took a blank one along, and so that we could narrow things down, and I could assign it to 6 people, and it was just so helpful. Now, getting to problem solving, I do have a printout of the correct sheet now. I have not been a zone chairman long enough to discover any problems yet. I've had one zone meeting. I've been visiting clubs with district governor, but have not made the individual visits yet. And I assume when I do, I'll run into some problems.
Well, Galen,
Right.
off the top of your head, since you are a new chairperson, like Patty has never been one. She used her club as the example. How about something off the top of your head in Shippensburg? Something that's fresh in your mind that happened as club president. Now you're grinning. I know you're you're trying to pick one of them, but just go through it and walk through it. Walk us through it very, very simply. A problem and how would you confirm it? Who would you contact? Probably yourself. And what are a couple of the why questions?
I'm grinning because obviously membership's a problem, but the problem we're dealing with right now is in July we changed meeting locations, and already we're being forced to change again. So that is a big problem, and I can ask these whys in a little bit different way, but that's
Okay.
what I used my goal setting for, to find a new place to meet without raising our meal prices. And so I will be able to now apply this alongside the goal setting.
All right.
But I had already thought of that as a scenario. So that is a problem. What can we do? Well, we can look for new places. Who do we contact? Well, we have to contact the people. And so I designated somebody to contact 6 different places. So those are some of the whys to that issue.
All right. Well, I can say that when I was zone chair 10 years ago, I held the position for 3 years. Plus I worked 12, 13 hours a day. So with conflict resolution, everything was the avoidance method. I avoided any conflict, didn't do anything because I couldn't do anything. Answer emails, but and really, in the 3 years, as far as problems, I can't really remember too many. Most of them, any ones I think I had, I probably caused myself due to lack of experience and lack of time, just no time whatsoever. So you're all doing much better than I did when I was zone chair. But the biggest problem I think I ever came across was with my club was the year before, excuse me, the month before I was to be president for the first time. The board came to me and said, we're going to throw a member out of the club. We think he stole from the treasury. And what do you think about it? I said, well, I'm all for getting him out of the club. He has not been helpful to the club. I agree. I think he has been stealing. But I'm going to tell you what, you either do it now, right before I'm president, or you're going to wait 1 year, because I'm not putting up with the hassle and the everything we need to go through. We had to contact LCI. We had to write letters. We had to get attorney involved. We got the district governor involved. We didn't ask 5 whys because we didn't know about it. We didn't use the goal setting plan because we didn't know about it. But we did get that member out of the club. So that was the biggest problem that I've ever run across myself in Lions. And it was not a fun time, but it was something we had to put up with and had to be done. Anybody else have anything to say? Lion Dan.
I was pretty impressed with people off the cuff, how people responded to your challenge, Carrie. I thought people did a pretty good job of identifying a problem and then looking at how they might pursue that problem. You know, it is, rather than do what comes natural to most of us, of avoiding the problem. That is the most natural response, particularly when you're a volunteer like we are, working in this setting. And take Kerry's example when he was zone chair of working 13 hours a day or something like that. The way, the most natural response is to avoid the problem. But if we have the ability, it is much better to try to address something and do it in a collaborative way, so it's just not you doing it, but you're doing it with somebody other than you. Doing it, so you're sharing it. That really is the best way to go. And I'm being a little idealistic, but that I think is the best way to go.
Yeah, if you can catch it early,
Yeah.
You can slow the problem down or eliminate it, altogether. So our objectives tonight were define, apply, and explore the 5 whys. Did we achieve that? I mean, I'll honest, I never even heard of them before Dan said, I want you to do problem solving with the 5 whys. Never heard of such a thing. So,
Sorry, Kerry.
that's all right. That's all right. No. No, see, if I knew all about it, I wouldn't learn anything from it, right? So now I learned something too, but
You had mentioned that this came out of Toyota.
right.
And I believe it came out of Toyota Japan because of back when this was developed, and I'm pretty sure this is part of that whole system that they came out with, but it was at that time it was called Total Quality Management, or TQM for short, and it was a whole process of things like this, modules like this for business, to how to improve business in general. So I'm pretty sure this, I'd have to look at my TQM manual from back in the day, but I'm pretty sure this is part of that.
If you have any,
Yeah, I have a quick question for the group that did the conflict resolution course on the
I don't see it. Lions Learning Center.
Lions Learning Center. Thank you. Yeah, was that focused on these 5 whys also, or was that focused
No.
more on like a mediation process?
Yeah, it was
It
broad.
didn't have anything to do with the 5 whys.
That was focused a little bit more on the avoid, dominate, accommodate, compromise, and collaborate.
Collaborative, yeah.
And they kind of zeroed in on the collaboration part when you kind of agree to, that you're going to work it out, and you speak to each other and you go through possible solutions and you come up with solutions together, and then kind of make a plan to say, okay, we're going to do that, and then come back in maybe 3 months' time and say, are we successful? How have we done?
Okay.
So I think that zeroed in a little bit more on that.
All right. So that's more like what I training I had in peer mediation.
Yeah, that I've had, and again, that's kind of what I taught to young kids, the idea of agree, listen, and solve. It used to be actually I think an LIU approach too that was put out there for teachers to use.
Okay.
All right. So Lion Dan, I think we've come to the conclusion here of the 5 whys. I think we've all learned a little something out of it. And it's 10 minutes after 8, so we finished just a little bit early for you. We had a small group here tonight.
And
Anything else you'd like to say?
just a quick, did everybody see District Governor Tom's email about the location change for GAT on Saturday?
Yes.
I found out at supper time from PDG's Lisa and John.
All right, everybody have a good evening and a good weekend. Hope to see some of you in Storchtown, but we will socially distance and wear masks. And I don't think we'll be eating breakfast. We'll have some refreshments. If you have any questions, email me, call me. I'll do whatever I can to help you. I'll never not help if I can. All right.
Thank you,
Thank you
Carrie.
very much.
Carrie.
Thanks a bunch.
Sure.
Hey, thank you, Gary.
Thanks.